Oh, hello, vinyl community. It's Mike MGK Boston on a Saturday, a gloomy Saturday. I know I complain about the weather here all the time, but that's what you get this time of year, actually. Early December, you get a gloomy day with no sun, and it's starting to get a little colder, but no snow. Colton. Colton wanted out. His wish is my command, as the saying goes. So anyway, today I'm just going to do, I haven't done one of these in a while. I used to do this format, call it a playlist, where I just kind of talk about what I've been listening to the past week or two. But today I'm going to combine it with a couple of recent finds. I don't have a whole big pile of new stuff, but I'm going to intermingle those in with what I'm showing today. So why don't we just dive right into it? I'm going to start off with this one. Leonard Cohen, The Future. This is from 1992. Of course, great poet, songwriter, singer, you name it. And now deceased, of course, too, to top it all off. But this was when he kind of was making a big resurgence, at least in Canada. He got Male Vocalist of the Year that year at the Juno Awards, which is the Canadian equivalent of the Grammys. And of course, this one's called The Future. Title track is really excellent on this. Waiting for the Miracle. Closing Time was actually a pretty big single from this, and he was so popular. His girlfriend at the time was Rebecca De Mornay, if you remember her from the movie Risky Business from the 80s with Tom Cruise. Total smoke show. So Leonard was stepping up his ladies game like he always did, and that was his lady at the time. But anyway, and I'm also going to give a birthday shout out to Brian over at the Embryonic Robot. I know today's his birthday, so everybody get over there to Brian's channel and wish him a happy birthday. He's probably 25. I think he's a pretty young guy. But anyway, yeah, he's a big Leonard Cohen fan, so I thought I'd throw that in there. So yeah, some Leonard Cohen. So I don't know who was mentioning that album a week or two ago, and I'm like, hey, I haven't listened to that in a while, so I threw it on. So then, and then this, last Saturday, probably I was listening to this. Yeah, it's John and Vangelis. Of course, that's John Anderson from Yes fame, and Vangelis, the Greek dude, keyboard, psych rock guy. His first band was this band called Aphrodite's Child. This is the double CD set re-release of this. This is from probably 1971. Yes, not probably, it was. So he was from a band called Aphrodite's Child, and then he did weird experimental stuff like this, kind of like Jean-Michel Jarre, I guess you could compare him to that. Here he is on the Deutsche Grammophon label, which was predominantly classical, but this is, you can see there's only 3 pieces on this, so real keyboard wizard. Apparently he was in line to replace Rick Wakeman in 1974 when Rick Wakeman split from Yes. I don't know if that's how he got together with John Anderson, but then they did, this is their second, I believe, collaboration together, and it's called The Friends of Mr. Cairo. So this was released in 1981. I remember when this came out, the song Friends of Mr. Cairo. There was actually an interesting, cool music video for that. The beginning of music videos, like 1981, right? There's the 2 guys on the front. Of course, there's John Anderson and there's Vangelis. Vangelis just goes by that one name, kind of like Yanni, one of those guys, but a very talented guy. So I've said before, I am not a big fan of Yes, and I think the root cause of that is just the crazy excessive keyboards of Rick Wakeman, and just, I'm not a big progressive rock guy. I love Genesis, but it kind of, and some King Crimson, but it kind of ends there for me with the prog stuff. But in this setting, John Anderson's voice sounds really good. And look up any of these songs, like the single, there was a single from this, other than the title track, Friends of Mr. Cairo, a song called I'll Find My Way Home. Beautiful song, look that up. State of Independence, that's been covered by a few people. The year after this came out, Donna Summer did a version of it. And then this, when I listened to this, it led me to this. So this is from 1991. This is an electronic duo, 2 guys named Grant Showbiz and Fred Hood. Grant Showbiz produced a later Smiths album. I think he remastered that live album Rank. Maybe Brian and Embryonic Robot knows that name. And he also worked with Billy Bragg, this guy, Grant Showbiz. But anyway, it was these 2 guys, like I said, Showbiz and Hood, and they would have guests on this. So one of the big guests on this, and speaking of the song, again, State of Independence, on this is none other than Chrissie Hynde. So here, let's see this here. All right. So it's actually called Spiritual High, and it's in 3 parts, culminating in this, well, not culminating, the centerpiece is right there, State of Independence, which is a cover of that John Vangelis tune. And the name of the band here called Mood Swings. And they did this one and I think one other. I only have this one. I remember I bought this because I was going into clubs a lot at the time, and that's where I heard it. It's called Mood Food by Mood Swings. I have never seen that in the vinyl community, probably because it's never been released on vinyl to the best of my knowledge. But yeah, it's just really cool beats on this. Like it opens with an instrumental track, but then there's some female in the background doing, you know, little backup kind of harmonies in the background called Throw Off the Shackles. Skin Thieves is a cool track. And again, look up Spiritual High. It's in 3 parts. You can see right there. 1, 2, 3. Part 3. So yeah, John Vangelis, Friends of Mr. Cairo. I love that. It's really excellent. So check that out. It's totally not like Yes. You may really like it, you may not, but it's just a recommendation. That's what a recommendation is, right? So this is a recent find here, Gus Canal Diary from Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of people think they're from Athens because they sound like REM, but they're not. They're from just outside of Atlanta. Again, around the same, coming up around the same time period as early REM. And the lead singer actually sounds a little bit like REM. The guy's name escapes me. Release date on this one's 1986. This is really good. I'd really like to find the debut, but I'll be on the lookout. So yeah, I had a copy of this. This is one of those that grew legs years ago in my collection, and I saw this for $5 and I couldn't let it sit there, and it's in great shape. So Pray for Rain, just a really excellent track. Jamboree, the title song. Big single from this one. Well, not big, but it was on the alternative charts at the time, was a song called Michael Rockefeller, and that's very good too. Love the cover art on that. Isn't that, it's just fantastic. Not much here on the inside. No, just the cool Elektra label. They were on Elektra, yeah. Whenever I think of the Elektra label, I always think of the Doors. Big bands from the Elektra label, but yeah. Gus Canal Diary, Jamboree. Nice one. Here's another recent find here. Never seen this before. Big guitars from Texas, yeah. So, yeah, I did my Friday Cheers thing yesterday, and there was a lot of talk about Texas, and I'm still going on about it. I love it. So these are a bunch of session guys on the blues scene from Austin. I think this collaborative is still sort of active today, kind of like the Fabulous Thunderbirds, people coming and going, but this is all instrumental music. So you can see these 6 players on the back, well known, of course, in the Austin, Texas blues scene. There's the guys all on the front. So it's kind of cool here. You can see, so it lists the players. So this guy name is Don Letty, and lists his weapon. So it says whatever his type of guitar was right here. So they're all listed there. So vintage Fender Telecaster 1975, Fender Telecaster 1963, and on it goes. And then, you know, it looks like the Fender Stratocaster is the favored weapon of choice, if you will, on this. But yeah, so this kind of plays like Stevie Ray Vaughan meets the Ventures. It's really, really cool. And there's 14 songs. They're all short, just like a Ventures album, like, you know, 2 to 3 minutes. And there's 14 songs on this. You can see the track listing down there. So, yeah, and the label here, never seen this label before, and I'm a big blues hound. Must have been a local label out of Austin. It's called Jungle Records. Pretty cool logo, right? So, yeah, big guitars from Texas. It's Texas twang and thunder. Boom, right? So, yeah. Guitar Thunder, really fun record. Again, just paid a few bucks for that one. Really nice find. I never heard of it. They have a couple other releases. Like I said, and I still think they're active today. I looked and they still have an active Facebook page, so they're still playing live down around the Austin area. So this was a Sunday listen last Sunday. So like I do, I love my Frank on Sundays. I've shown this album before. It's no secret that I love it. Of course, here he does it. This is his first venture into the world of bossa nova, right? And so it's conducted here by Klaus Ogerman, but then on guitar, and there is some sort of backing vocals from Antonio Carlos Jobim, arguably one of the first in the forefront of the bossa nova movement was Antonio Carlos Jobim, and he plays on this. So when I say backing vocals, he does that kind of ding, 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 ding. You know, that bossa nova thing you'll hear in the background. So there's some traditionals on here, like he does Girl from Ipanema, Change Partners, I Concentrate on You, Baubles, Bangles, and Beads. And my favorite on this is Jindy, or Dindy. It's spelled Dindy, but he pronounces it Gingy, like ginger. So it's really good. 1967, the release date on that, for Frank Sinatra and Antonio Carlos Jobim. Yes, I was a real lounge lizard last Sunday. More jazz vocal with Nancy Wilson. This is her second release. I want to say 1960, the release on this one. It's Something Wonderful, right? Look at her. She's something wonderful, isn't she? So here's the fresh, exciting sounds of Nancy Wilson. So, in a fine assortment of ballads, blues, and swinging standards, resulting in something wonderful, right? So, yeah, so where was I with this? Yeah, so a couple of highlights on this. Teach Me Tonight, What a Little Moonlight Can Do, Something Happens to Me. It's wonderful. Great, great jazz vocal. Nancy Wilson, if you've not heard of her and you like Frank Sinatra, that style, look her up. She's great. Any of her stuff on the Capitol label throughout the 1960s is excellent. I have most of it. Yeah, speaking of, here's another one from the ladies, from a lady herself, the late, great Tammy Wynette. It's a compilation from 1970 called It's Just a Matter of Time, right? And, of course, there's Tam Tam right there on the cover. Don't Touch Me. It Keeps Slipping My Mind. Love Me, Love Me. And what else we got here? Yeah, Run Angel Run. That's a good one, too. Set Me Free. That's probably what she was going to say a few years later when she was divorcing George Jones. Set Me Free. There's Tam Tam, right? All right, it's back to some more jazz vocal. So we got George, it's the George Shearing Quintet. Of course, there he is right there on piano, band leader himself, George Shearing. So she does, Dakota Staton does not sing on every song, there she is, but on a few of these, she's really great. The ones she does sing on, From Rags to Richards, not Riches. She must have liked men named Richard. She went from Rags to Richards, plural. Confessing the Blues is another one, and The Thrill Is Gone. Really good. Get your lounge lizard hat on and find this one. It's available to stream on YouTube. Really good, really good. In the Night, the title track, is probably the best on that one, actually. So my daughter, our daughter Caroline, was home recently for the American Thanksgiving holiday. We took her back to the airport last Sunday and said our goodbyes, but she's going to be home for Christmas in a few weeks, so that'll be great. So like we do, we often hang out and we'll listen to some music. Thankfully, she's not a big Taylor Swift fan. Sorry, Rob at Northern Revolutions. I know you're a fan. So is Patty. Patty's jumped on that whole Travis Kelce bandwagon. TMZ following the couple around, waiting for the reality show, I guess. The Travis and Taylor reality show, right? So anyway, Caroline is going to be doing some work at her college. She goes to a school called Pomona College out in California. There's a bag I bought to go to record shows. It's the KSPC. They call the station the Space. So there's the little spaceman with his headphones on. So yeah, she's going to be doing, I don't know what she's going to be doing, working in the record library. She's not going to have an on-air show right up, but she's going to be starting that in January. So that's pretty cool. So we were listening to some music, and she really likes this first album by the Runaways. So threw that on 1976. The release date on this one, really good. Featuring, of course, the great Joan Jett, Lita Ford, among others. Yeah, they're on the inside. Yeah, they were all just teenagers when they did this one. Cherry Bomb, huge song on this one. Dead End Justice rounds the whole thing out, pretty good. But yeah, there's Gary's friend there, and Gary over at Physical Format. Big fan of Lita Ford. I think Gary saw her just this past summer. Probably he's seen her a few times, knowing Gary. All right, and then we got this one. This is another one I had years ago, and I just picked it up because I saw it for a few bucks. It's the debut by the Smithereens, straight out of New Jersey. They're there on the back, looking cool. There's the lead singer on the back. I forget this guy's name. On vocals. Yeah, Pat Denizio. He's now deceased, unfortunately, but yeah, there he is with the hat on at the back there. Really cool college rock, straight out of New Jersey. Like I said, just like my friend Steve Harold. Go check out his channel. He's a cool guy. And yeah, so especially for you, really good. I don't know if you call it power pop, alternative pop, whatever. It's good. Strangers When We Meet was a big song on this one. And Behind the Wall of Sleep, really good too. And Blood and Roses, those are three big singles from this record, actually. So especially for you, the Smithereens, 1986. And from that listening session with Caroline, she also really dug the dark gothic vocal stylings of the great Peter Murphy. Yeah, so here's just a couple of Bauhaus albums. So we were listening to this. You really like The Passion of Lovers. That kicks off this compilation right here. It's a beautiful embossed sleeve with the gold on there. So yeah, there you have it. And then lastly, another Sunday listen here. It's the Quintet. So this quintet actually was a one-off. It was Dizzy Gillespie on trumpet, Charlie Parker on alto sax, Bud Powell on piano, Charles Mingus on bass, and the great Max Roach on drums. And this was recorded live May of 1953 at Massey Hall in Toronto. Another shout out to my friends in Toronto. So yeah, this is just a really good, and there's a story about how the album came to be. So this is a reissue from 1990. And that's when I started getting into jazz, when I was coming out of university and into the 90s, and I was taking a deep dive into jazz. This may have been one of the first jazz CDs I picked up, because I was buying all CDs in the 90s. But this is really nice listen. Other than the song Salt Peanuts, which has been done by a number of people, I really can't stand that number, but they do an excellent version on here of Hot House, and also A Night in Tunisia, which is also a great Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, if you want to look up another version of that. So I think that's going to cover it today. I'm looking around. Colton's not being a little, he's got stage fright today. He's just not in the mood for the camera. But anyway, hope whatever you're doing on a Saturday, you're doing something fun. For me, it's indoor sports today because of the weather, but that's fine. So anyway, maybe Patty will bake me something. But whatever you're up to, hope it's fun, and I'll see you next time.